When you ingest dietary carbohydrates, your blood glucose is going to rise. Blood glucose rises, brain secretes more insulin. Insulin takes that glucose out of the bloodstream. Muscle is a glucose sponge. The more muscle you have, the bigger the sponge becomes, the more of that glucose you can suck up from your bloodstream. There are two reasons why this becomes really important for your overall health.
Tryna play me, they ain't no better. Perp on me, you can call me Chris Webber. Brand new whip with the brand new leather. And now I made plays, so they all look jealous. Oh my God, now they all look jealous. Brand new drip,
What
hope
is
they
up,
all got
people
umbrellas.
of YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited about this video because this is an extremely important topic that I wanted to discuss. If you tuned in earlier this week, you saw my video on women and the importance of weightlifting and fitness for women specifically, but this is going to be a little bit of a twist on that, and it's going to be relative to everybody. So it does not matter if you're a male, a female, young or old, wherever you are in life. This is a video that is going to help you out regardless of what your goals are, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish. If you have physique goals, you have aesthetic goals, or you just want to be generally healthier. What is the topic of today? It is metabolic health and the importance of muscle mass. So again, whether you're a male, a female, you're young, you're old, you might think, I don't need muscle. I don't want to look big. I don't want to look jacked. Muscle is so important for your health. We're going to dive into it today and kind of break it down in a way that is simple for you to conceptualize and understand. Hopefully you walk away from this video with a greater understanding of why muscle is so important, regardless of what your goals are. If you want to be a healthier person, increasing your levels of muscle mass are going to have long-lasting and impactful changes in your life.
Homie, that's facts. I just bought a new crib, I buy another for the tax. We ain't in the same league, we ain't in the same
First, I want to
race.
start with the utilization of carbohydrates and how muscle mass impacts that in your body. So what is a carbohydrate? What are carbs? I don't want to get too fancy into this. We're not going to talk about the different types of carbs and the glycemic index and all that stuff, because I feel like people get so overstimulated by that, they kind of miss the forest for the trees. That's not the importance here. The importance is how muscle mass can impact carbs. All carbohydrates that you ingest, all dietary carbohydrates, are going to be broken down into glucose, which is the sugar aspect of carbohydrates. And that is going to be dumped into your bloodstream. And from there, your body will start a cascade of events or a cascade of different internal processes that are going to deliver or partition those nutrients wherever it needs to go. When you ingest dietary carbohydrates, your blood glucose is going to rise. It is going to spike because your body is going to break down those carbs into glucose. They're going to be dumped into your bloodstream. And then from there, your body decides what to do with it, right? So when you have this increase in blood glucose, from there, your brain, from your pituitary gland, is going to send signaling down to increase the secretion of insulin. And that insulin secretion is going to help partition the nutrients to wherever they need to go. So I always use this analogy. Think of insulin like an Uber driver. Insulin is literally just a shuttle for the nutrients that your body consumes or ingests. It basically takes whatever nutrients are in your bloodstream and delivers them to wherever your body determines they need to go. Blood glucose rises, brain secretes more insulin. Insulin takes that glucose out of the bloodstream and puts it wherever it needs to go. Now, why does muscle mass matter? Where does this importance of muscle mass come in? Muscle mass is a storage port, right? Think of it as a storage unit for glucose. So glucose that is not burned immediately for fuel is going to be stored preferentially as glycogen. And this happens in your liver and it happens in your muscle cells. So the more muscle mass you have, the more glucose you will be able to store. So again, think of it as a storage unit. If you have a 30 square foot storage unit, you can only store so many boxes, right? If you have a 100 square foot storage unit, you can store significantly more stuff in there, right? That is how muscle acts in terms of glucose storage in the form of glycogen. Long story short here is the more muscle mass you have, the more glucose you are going to be able to store as glycogen. Now, before we get into why that's important, I want to give you another analogy. I want you to think of muscle cells or muscle mass as a sponge. Muscle is a glucose sponge. The more muscle you have, the bigger the sponge becomes, the more of that glucose you can suck up from your bloodstream. There are two reasons why this becomes really important for your overall health. Number one, you don't want high levels of blood glucose to be sustained for a long period of time. The longer that your blood glucose remains elevated, aka the longer that glucose sits in your blood and is unable to be partitioned or utilized, the more health problems that are going to arise down the road for you, okay? So when you have consistently elevated blood glucose, your body is going to be consistently secreting insulin, and over time, your body becomes resistant to that signaling. That is what we call insulin resistance, or what you probably more commonly know as diabetes, prediabetes, diabetes, all of these things, right? We want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can in our body to make sure that we can partition that glucose and not let it just sit and float around in our bloodstream for extended periods of time. Number two, the more glucose or the more carbohydrate that you can store in the muscle cells, the less likely you are to store that excess carbohydrate as body fat. Now, if you guys have been following me for any time at all, you know that the reality is calories in, calories out, right? If you're consuming excess calories or you're in a calorie surplus, meaning you're consuming more calories than you're burning in a given day, you will inevitably store some of those excess calories as fat. That is inevitable. That is science. It's thermodynamics. Don't hate me. Hate the laws of physics. But the more carbohydrate that you can soak up and store as muscle mass, the less likely those excess carbs are going to be stored as adipose tissue or body fat, all right? So again, think of muscle as a glucose sponge. The more muscle mass you have, the more glucose you can store. That's important for two reasons. You don't want chronically elevated levels of glucose because that causes a lot of metabolic issues down the road, most notably diabetes. And number two, again, you're less likely to store those excess carbs as fat if you're utilizing them or storing them in the muscle cells as glycogen.
Now I need the dollars, got a new girl and she look like Madonna, found a new flow in this.
Now, another important thing that I want to talk about is the utilization of glycogen. So glycogen, if I didn't explain this already, glycogen is literally just stored glucose. So glycogen is just the stored version of carbohydrates, right? Excess glucose is going to be stored as glycogen in your muscle cells and your liver, all right? Those are the storage ports that we have for glycogen. Now, the importance of this is, again, we'll use the storage unit analogy. Once that storage unit becomes full, even if it's 100 square feet, there's no more room for it, right? So you need to do things that deplete that storage, deplete that glycogen store. And that is resistance training or other forms of what we call anaerobic exercise. So I don't want to get into the details and the minutia of aerobic versus anaerobic and when you're burning carbs for fuel, when you're burning fats for fuel. I want to keep it very simple, and I'm just going to tell you guys this. You need to be resistance training. You need to be weightlifting. Weightlifting is the easiest and the most effective way to burn excess glycogen or to deplete the glycogen from your liver and your muscle cells, which is then going to allow you to replace that or replenish it with your dietary carbohydrate intake. So you need to be resistance training for two important reasons. Number one, like I just said, you want to deplete the glycogen that you have stored so that you can store more, again, with the dietary carbs that you're intaking. And the second reason, arguably more important, is resistance training is the stimulus or the signal that we can give to our body to increase the adaptation of muscle mass, aka muscle hypertrophy. In layman terms, resistance training is what you need to do to signal your body to put down more muscle or to increase muscle mass. So again, if you want to go from a 30 square foot storage unit to a 100 square foot storage unit, in this example, resistance training or weightlifting is the only way to do that.
They ain't no better. Perp on me, you can call me Chris Webber. Brand new whip.
But now, resistance training can come in many different forms. It can be barbells, it can be dumbbells, it can be high intensity, circuit style classes. Some form of resistance training, aka using your muscles against a certain resistance. Again, it does not matter what form of resistance that is, but you need to be strength training. Again, it's going to deplete that muscle glycogen. It's going to give your body a signal to have an adaptive response, increase muscle protein synthesis, which is going to let you put down more muscle tissue or build more muscle. And again, that's going to increase the capacity that you can store glucose, which again, as we talked about in this whole video, I don't want to ramble or rant, but that is really important for your overall metabolic health. I'm going to wrap it up because honestly, I wanted this to be a short and simple video. The important thing, the take-home notes here are, it does not matter what your goal is. It does not matter if you're a male, a female, you're 20, you're 40, you're 60. Resistance training and building muscle mass is helpful and healthy for absolutely everybody. This is 2025. It is the year of weightlifting. We're done with going to the gym just to use the treadmills. You need to pick up a weight. Again, it does not matter if it's a barbell, a dumbbell. Use the machines at the gym. Use the cables. Get resistance bands. It really does not matter. You need to be strength training. You need to be increasing muscle mass in your body if you want to be healthier, let alone the aesthetic effects, right? Like, I promise you, whether you're male, female, young, old, the more muscle mass you have, the better you're going to look and the better you're going to feel. If you're new to this and you just don't know where to get started, you've never weight trained, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to pick up a weight, you want to make sure that you're safe, you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way. Maybe you're a runner and you don't know how to add in weightlifting and make that work in your schedule. If you need help or guidance, hit me up because I would be more than happy to help you. Leave a comment down below, go to my website, fill out a lead form, send me an email, whatever you have to do, get in touch with me. This is what I do for a living. I would love to help you get started, whether it's as simple as me writing you a program to follow or you want that individualized, dedicated one-on-one coaching and guidance. I offer all of that. So if you're new to this and you're uncomfortable, you don't know where to start, hit me up. I would be more than happy to help you with that. I do training programs, I do nutrition plans, I do complete coaching, which includes training and nutrition, plus weekly check-ins, feedback forms, all of that stuff. So if you really want to take your health to the next level in 2025, you need to be in the gym, you need to be lifting weights. It is so important. So I hope all of this made sense. I hope this was a simple yet impactful video because that is the goal of this platform. If you like this video, prove it by hitting the button. Drop a comment down below to let me know what you learned. And of course, subscribe so that you don't miss out on more. Peace, guys.